Hi everyone. So sorry it's taken so long to get this review to you guys, but it's been a crazy 2 or maybe perhaps 3 weeks, I think it is now. Because as you know, I had my cold when I did my last review and everything. Got rid of that. My sister came to visit. Came down with cold again. We had a couple of family medical emergency situations. I had craziness at work, and then I'm on holiday for the Cheltenham Literature Festival. So the festival is still on. It's still got a couple of days left, but I don't have any events today. So priority, get this to you. I finally finished the book I was reading yesterday. Because of all of this craziness, it was just insane. So it's taken me all that time to read 325 pages. But it's done, so here I am to talk to you about it. And that book was Alice by Christina Henry. Now, when I did my announcement video, do you remember I said it was called Beware the Claws That Catch Alice? Now, the reason why was because when I wrote those slips, I wrote basically what was on the front cover. And as you can see, there it is, Beware the Claws That Catch. And it wasn't until I pulled the book off the shelf after I did the announcement video that I realised it's just called Alice. That was the tagline. So sorry if I caused any confusion. The book is called Alice by Christina Henry. Now this is the first book of Christina's that I've ever read. So it was very interesting to get into the writing style of a different author. Overall, I thoroughly enjoyed this book, but there were some issues, and the big issue that I had with it, which was just so irritating, was that, but this was my ignorance on this. I was not aware that this was the first book of a series. So I went through all of this story, and there was one bit of it that I was desperate to get resolved. I was desperate to find out the answer to, and that was the one storyline that didn't get resolved, and he said you have to read the next book to be able to carry on with that. And I was like, oh my god, that's so irritating. But it was my ignorance. I didn't know that it was a book series. If I'd known, I would have bought the other book as well and then carried on. Now the other book is called The Red Queen. As far as I know, there's only those two at the moment. I don't know if the Red Queen is the end of it or if there's going to be a third one. I have absolutely no idea. I know she's also published a separate book called The Lost Boys, which looks at Peter Pan. But yeah, they're the only three that I know of that she has published. So I don't know if it's that thing that I will buy The Red Queen and read on, or if I won't. And the reason why I'm questioning that is because of other issues that I had with the book. Right, so let's have a look at this and I'll explain what it's about. So in this we have Alice from Alice in Wonderland. She has been in a hospital for 10 years, chained in her cell, basically. It's referred to as the cell, but it's her room and the padded walls and everything. She's just been chained in this room for 10 years, and given various medication in that time. She's never left the room. She is haunted by memories of a rabbit. She has no idea how she got to the hospital. She doesn't know why she has this rabbit in her mind, but she hears his voice every now and then, and that's all she can remember. There's nothing else of her past. She has a friend in the cell next to her called Hatcher. Now, she knows Hatcher and speaks to him and everything through a tiny hole that is between two of the bricks in the wall that divides them. She can see very little of him through this teeny tiny hole, but it's how they're able to talk and everything, and they become good friends over the 10 years that they've been neighbours. Then one day a fire breaks out and they are able to escape and go off into the new city, which is where the hospital is located in Wonderland, and they both want to know why they got there, who they are, because they really don't know anything about their past, everything, and for Alice to figure out what is the deal with this rabbit and everything, and it sets them off on this big adventure. Now, loads of stuff. So all of the Alice, finding out who Alice is, finding out who Hatcher is, the stuff about the hospital, the stuff about the day-to-day routine, the memories that Alice has, the discussions that they have, and the fire. So those 7 things all happen within about 30 pages of this book. So you are crammed with information, and various events. It's like bang, bang, bang. It doesn't relax. You're constantly on the go. So I kind of felt like when I was reading this, it felt very kind of tense all the time. There was no respite. Okay, there were a couple of scenes where they do stop and have a rest, but still, during that rest, you're still bombarded with loads of information and meeting loads of other people and everything. So it kind of feels like, to me, as the reader, it didn't stop. There was no pause in this. So I kind of went through this just kind of thinking, I like to have a breather for a bit. And that was even with me taking like 2 or 3 weeks to actually read it. I mean, can you imagine if I'd sat and read this in like a space of a few days? I'd probably be like completely mad by the end of it. Now, so I had issues with the pace of it. I had issues with the continuing story, as I said, me not knowing that it was the first of a series, but then that's my fault, not knowing that when I bought this book. The characterization is really strong in this. You learn so much about Alice and Hatcher and everything, and all the other characters as well. There are a lot of secondary characters within the story, and quite a few of them actually become very prominent, even though that you only see them for like 1 scene or something. Or there's a character, Dor, who was at the tea party with Alice. She's referred to by Alice like all the way through this book, and then we only see her right near the end. So you do have these kind of situations with characters where you're seeing it through Alice's perspective and her thoughts of who that character is, and then you get, she gets held up a mirror to her face and gone, come on, this is who they really are. So you have this struggle of perception versus reality. One thing to be aware of with this book, it's very dark. Now, that's not a negative, but I'm just wanting to let you guys know about this, because there were some bits that I was really taken aback by. I like dark gothic stuff, so stuff like that doesn't really get to me. But then there was some bits in this I was like, oh my god. And when I say that, I'll give you an example. Now, at one point, about 2/3 of the way through the book, Alice and Hatcher are in a maze. I won't tell you why they're in a maze, but they're in a maze. Because if I told you, then it would give a heck of a lot away. Anyway, and in this maze, there's sections with doors and all this lot. And one time they go through a door, and there's a room, and in the room is this massive, like, pile of corpses of young girls around Alice's age when she was at the tea party, so she was about 16, something like that, maybe a bit younger. All of them in this pile of corpses have been stripped naked and their faces have all been ripped off. Yeah. So when I read that, it was like, okay. Was not expecting that. So it has such a dark nature to it. It's kind of like when you read fairy stories now, and you read the proper, the grim proper version, not like the Disney versions, where there is some real messed up stuff in there, and it's so dark creepy as anything, very gothic. This book really has that element to it, but it has some quite messed up stuff in the process, and there's a lot of like animal cruelty and stuff like this in it, which is not nice to read, but it is what it is. She's very punchy with her lines as Christina. I really liked that actually. I think it helped with all of the information that she was giving you. It was, you know, everything. But at the same time, I was like, you know, I don't mind short, punchy lines, but then after a while, because this book is really quite heavy and there's so much going on, and it's just madness. I kind of felt like, oh God, I need a break from this from time to time. So yeah, because of that, I can't give it a 5 or anything. I think I give this a 4 out of 5. I did enjoy it. The characters were really strong. There were some really great moments in it and everything, but then it just, there was something that didn't quite work for me. But then that's just for me. For you guys, it might work fine. But yeah, if you read this, do be aware that there is a second book, and yeah, her storyline I desperately wanted to know the answer to, didn't get answered. So you might have to, yeah, read The Red Queen as well for this. So yeah, so it's really quite disturbing, full of grit, a lot of gore, some great characters, good pace. It was just, yeah, there was some issues with it, which means for me it's 4 out of 5. So that's what I thought of Alice by Christina Henry. If you guys have read this book, I'd love to know what you thought too. You can leave me a comment in the comments box below, or you can give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down, entirely up to you, I'll let you to decide. And I will be back soon with my announcement video of what I will be reading next, and I've bought loads of books at the Cheltenham Literature Festival, so you'll be seeing all the new books that are going to be going into the jazz as well. Alright then, you guys, bye!